Hey YouTube, welcome to part 2 of the Porch rebuild. This project's turning out to be rather larger than I expected when I started, but nevertheless we need to get it done, so let's forge ahead. So before I welded this, I said I was just going to eyeball it and make it look right, but I'm going to use the tape as well, just to make sure that everything is measured up as best I can. It's a really odd shape and difficult to measure, but I'm sure having some measurements is going to be better than having none. Now that I've got the octagon positioned centrally above the base, I can use the old Mark 1 eyeball to make sure everything looks straight as well, and to push things into place where they look a bit out. Now that I've got it all lined up the way that I want it, and it's looking nice and neat, the next thing to do is to go around and put more tacks around the bottom, and these will serve to hold it in place so that I can finish welding the bottoms up. If I don't put the tacks on, the heat of welding and the contraction of the weld afterwards is like to walk things out of place again. Hopefully the tack's going to hold it steady enough that that won't happen. And once the tacks are all done, I can take the top off and then lay the frame down so that I can weld around insides of it. That'll keep most of the weld out of sight, or at least out of obvious sight. If anyone really wants to stick their head inside the frame to examine the quality of my welds, they're perfectly welcome to. Another fit up showed me that I didn't get some of the angles at the top of the legs quite right, so I'll bring out the small angle grinder that'll fix that. They're very close, just need to be trimmed off a little bit and we should have pretty much a perfect fit. I went around and marked the centres of the octagonal sections where the legs were going to sit. My idea was to hold them in place and put a little tack weld on them and then go back and weld them. Unfortunately, they were a little bit harder than I expected to hold in place, but I did manage to put a vice grip onto them, which allowed me to hold them in place until I got the tack on, and then I went back around and welded them. It all worked very well. Well, this is one of the pieces that I salvaged off the old Porch. Goodness knows how old it is. It's been repaired. Unfortunately, this all broke apart when I took it off. You can see that there. It's been broken in a number of places in the past and looks like it's been braised up there by someone rather poorly. I guess that would be my grandfather that did that. And in any case, it was only holding by that little piece there. Just that piece there, and as I tried to get it out, that broke. As I say, it wasn't held together by much. I'm sort of thinking at this point that I might cut that off and just replace this whole end of it. I'll try and salvage this end if I can. I want this bend here, about 45-degree bend, so I suppose I could buy another one if I had to. Actually, having that break might be the best thing that happened, because it needs to be longer to go into the centre of the forge anyway. It wasn't quite in the centre of the old forge. It looks as though this is original from some forge, and someone had done what I'm doing, put a 44-gallon drum base on the old forge. The legs of it were a bit sad, to be honest. It certainly wasn't a pretty job. It worked. I remember using it as a kid. Did a good job, and it's going to be a good job again. I want to save as much of it as I can. I'll go to the metal face and see if I can weld something onto the end of that. Won't matter if I don't have an elbow on it, because that'll force the air up anyway. This will only open just to let the rubbish fall out. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Well, YouTube, here's the thing. That other piece off the old forge is broken. It looks like it's been broken a couple of times and raised up rather poorly. It's cast iron as well, that's another consideration. So instead of trying to repair that and braise it again or weld it again, which means I'd probably have to undo all the braising on it, fit the jigsaw puzzle of pieces together and weld it back up, I've acquired this piece of pipe, which is the right size for the job. It's 74mm outside diameter, so say 3-inch pipe. Wall thickness isn't terribly thick, it doesn't need to be that thick. I'm going to cut 225 off that, and that will go up inside the forge a little bit to pass the air in. Weld a plate across it to hold it to the bottom of the forge. Hole in here for the pipe to come in the side of it, and the flapper valve down the bottom to let out the ash and things. Let's put a mark on this and get him cut. 225 is a bit of an overkill, but won't hurt. Really, plus or minus 5mm is fine for this measurement. Before I cut him, I'm going to wheel the table a bit outside, just so most of the mess stays out there. Hindsight being 2020, I probably should have considered cutting this on the power hacksaw. But never mind, we're done. And now we want to cut 245s there and 45 through there into the middle, or 90 degrees into the middle of it, and hopefully that's going to marry up. I think it will, if I can cut it. That's going to be the key question. Must be a little bit warm to be grabbing by hand. I think I did that really nice. Putting just on the seam, which is what I wanted. Now the point is to get the other side just the same. I think that'll be about right. Very close. Close enough so I should be able to work with that. So I'm going to make the centre of the mitre about 85 millimetres down. That's 3 1/4 inches. Near enough. Again, we're fairly flexible on these measurements. Now, how am I going to do this? The centre of the mitre wants to be there. How am I going to do this? It's only going to work if the saw blade goes down the side of it. And that's not going to happen at all. I think I'm getting it down with an idea. Now if I go and just take the rough edges off these, I ought to be able to use these as a template to mark out the piece that I need to cut out. Won't be exact, but it will be reasonably close, I think. Actually, it's going to be pretty damn good. Brilliant idea, I think. I've got the burrs all cleaned off this now. Check it on the right distance down. Yep, centre it's about 3 1/4 inches, near enough 85 mils. That's the bit I have to cut out. Yep, that should work out pretty well. And I expect I can do that with a small grinder and a cut-off wheel. A little bit of trimming there and I could be able to fix that with fatigue. There we go, that'll do it. That'll do it. I can feel a little bit of reed that's left there. But I won't be able to do that with a stick welder. I'll need the TIG for that job. I guess the pipe's just a little bit on the thin side. Probably about 2 mil wall on it. And now that we've got this far, the next part of the puzzle is cut here so that I can bend this section up at an angle of 45 degrees. Which means a cut of 22.5 degrees roughly. Again, doesn't have to be too exact. I think probably plus or minus 5 degrees will be fine. These points need to be pretty near vertical. And it's all reasonably square, so I think we shall go ahead and cut that there. Put back together, there's our 45. Grind those burrs off there. I'll probably have to cut that down a little bit, he might be a bit high. Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. There are plans on the website for the construction of the frame, however they don't include the pipe and ductwork or the air because A, I didn't intend to do that in the first place. It wasn't until I broke the existing one that I found I had to do it. And B, that piping is very dependent on the type of blower you have, so doing up plans is not a lot of value. I think you can get enough out of the video to enable you to make the duct work. If anyone does want plans, give me a yell. I'll see if I can put something together on the duct work that I did make. Don't forget to click like and subscribe for more. Until next time.